Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Wells, and I'm excited to talk to you all about my topic today, which is Latinx students in advanced placement courses. I'm really interested both in the qualitative and quantitative piece of this question, but here I will present to you, obviously, the more quantitative, number-driven side of my research question and my interest in this topic. So, what is my research question? It's pretty bare bones, straightforward. To what extent do Latinx students and white students differ in terms of AP course enrollment and exam results? As you may guess, this type of data is probably going to be rather apparent, but I feel like a strong case for the disparities and an understanding of those inequities can help make a strong case for change within a community and within a school. So, touching base on some of the research in AP, did you know some of this data? Did you know that students that have taken an AP course are 28% more likely to graduate from college within 5 years compared to students who don't participate in AP? Pretty amazing. Did you know that students who took an AP exam are more likely to major in their content area of which the exam was taken? Did you know students who take an AP exam are more likely to graduate from college within 4 years? Um, did you know that students who take an AP exam are more likely to focus on that same discipline or do more coursework than less within that discipline? And also, did you know that AP has proven that it provides opportunities for underserved students to succeed? A lot of different reasons why students, especially minoritized students and students from historically marginalized demographics, can benefit from AP courses. A little bit more into the literature. Um, Number one, there's a history of inequities and lack of access for students of color and students of historically marginalized backgrounds. And if we can create a dialogue around that research and um, highlight it and address it, then hopefully change can come about. Furthermore, when schools find a way to increase access and equity within AP, courses have been found to provide specific benefits to Latinx students. As well, and lastly, as it says, when students do create more equitable and open access and interventions that can help the Latinx community student pass rate increases. So, creating awareness around this quantitative data and providing a dialogue around it can make real change happen. And so my focus is going to be at my school, which I'll talk about in just a second, so that we can create a conversation around this quantitative data soon. And hopefully transfer the data to other nearby schools that have similar demographics. So my research design is simple. It's a group comparison, and I'll be looking at several variables, several continuous dependent variables, such as the number of AP courses students are enrolled in, number of end-of-year exam takers, and the results of those exams across the two comparison groups of Latinx students and white students, who represent about 85% of the Taylorsville High School student body where I currently teach. Like mentioned, the sampling data will come from Taylorsville High School. Sorry, my autocorrect won't leave the X there on Latinx. But you understand what I'm trying to go for here. So the sampling will come from Taylorsville High School, and we have about a 50 something percent of students that are white and about a 33% demographic of students that identify as Latinx. And those are the sampling that I'll be looking at. All of the students that are enrolled in AP courses, at least one or more at Taylorsville High School from those two different race demographics. The data collection process will obviously involve the IRB process, which is relatively quick. as far as the professionals that I've spoken with in my district. And after I get that approval through the district office, I'll be able to collect data around student race, number of students in AP courses and end of year exam takers, as well as the results of those AP exams. The data analysis will also involve the continuous dependent variables around those four things that I've already mentioned. And to do the data analysis, I'll be using a t-test to check values from both of the race demographics, Latinx and white students, to do that comparison using those continuous variables to point out some most likely obvious disparities that will exist in our community. Limitations, the coronavirus and the COVID-19 pandemic have obviously shaken up the AP process a little bit. It affected heavily the testing of last spring, and I'm assuming it'll affect testing this upcoming spring, which obviously creates more limits. COVID has obviously hit communities of color at a very high rate. So unfortunately, I'm sure some of that will transfer into lack of access, but hopefully it doesn't create too many limitations. Equal Opportunity Schools is an organization that I will mention more about in a second, but that we've been working with here at Taylorsville that has already started to increase numbers for minoritized students in AP courses. So as I look at data, one thing I failed to mention is I want to look at data from the past 5 years and to see how we're doing as far as growth and equity with regard to the Latinx and white enrollment. Comparing Latinx as a comparison group to see how we're meeting the overall enrollment of the white students and what the comparison is between the two. Moving down the timeline as far as proposal to defense, I've kind of outlined it here as creating, as we've already started with here, a problem statement, theoretical framework, and research question. Once the literature review gets underway, February and March, and the design happens, after edits or whatnot, then I'll propose. And if approved, then I'll request the IRB approval and start collecting data in August, especially after the July AP data becomes available from the 2020-2021 school year. And then if all goes well, September to December, finishing up the remaining sections of the research, making edits, completing the final version, and then defending in December if possible, which is obviously one of the benefits of quantitative data. Once your data is collected, the end piece is a little bit quicker. And then implications. As I alluded to a little bit towards the start of the presentation, I know my research here isn't particularly innovative or wide stretching, but I think if we have data that shows disparities at my school, at our school, we can create a strong case for a disruption of our current protocols so that there's more equitable recruitment patterns and a stronger case for professional developments, working with our staff with regard to culturally relevant teaching or culturally responsive pedagogy, and organizations like Equal Opportunity Schools to be invited to help create a framework by which teachers can recruit and support students of color within advanced placement courses. We obviously saw in the research piece that it can provide so much benefit to the lives of all students with regard to future college attendance. And so creating this kind of solid piece of quantitative data that shows inequities and disparities between the two groups, or Latinx students compared to white students, I feel like a strong piece of quantitative data could make a good case for changing things up. As it says here, if districts seek to target groups of students who are underserved, like the Latinx demographic in this example, they need to consider strategies and policies that explicitly and directly address those groups. And I think this research could really make a strong case for that and could be easily transferred to schools with similar demographics that have a rather large Latinx student body. So that's my hope for this research. And I hope to eventually dig into the qualitative piece as well, and continue to spread the research and spread the information around so that we can make sure that there's less inequities in our schools today. Thank you so much for your time. And that is it. Thanks for the class. Nice to meet everybody and to work with everybody this semester. And Dr. Nee, thank you very much for the lovely semester.